Once upon a time, in a land of ancient forests and simple folk, there lived a woodcutter and his family at the edge of a great wood. The woodcutter had 3 sons. The youngest was called Dummling, for his brothers and everyone else thought him simple and foolish. Hans was the eldest, strong and proud. Friedrich, the middle son, was cunning and sharp. One day, Hans decided to go into the forest to cut wood. His mother, wanting him well fed, packed him a fine rich cake and a bottle of wine. Hans strode into the forest with his axe over his shoulder, feeling certain he would return with the finest wood.
But as he entered the wood, he met a little old grey man who wished him good day and said,
"Why should I give you my cake and none? If I give it to you, I shall have none for myself. Be off with you!"
Up his tree, when his axe slipped and cut his arm, and he had to go home to have it bound up. And that was the work of the little grey man, though Hans never knew it.
Next, Friedrich set out for the forest. His mother gave him too a fine cake and a bottle of wine, just as she had given Hans.
Friedrich too met the little grey man, who begged for a morsel of cake and a sip of wine.
"What I give to you, I lose myself. Be off with you!"
And he left the old man standing there.
His punishment was not long in coming. After a few strokes at the tree, his axe slipped and cut his leg, and he too had to be carried home.
Father, let me go and cut wood.
"Your brothers have both hurt themselves. Leave it alone. You know nothing about it."
But Dummling begged so long that at last his father said,
"Go then."
His mother gave him only a
"Thank you." Dummling went into the forest with a light heart, carrying his poor little meal and his small axe.
There sat the same little grey man, who said,
"I only have a cake baked in ashes and some sour beer, but if that pleases you, we will sit down and eat together."
The fine rich cake and the sour beer became the finest wine.
They ate and drank together, and the little grey man was well pleased with Dumling's kind and generous heart.
"Since you have a good heart and are willing to share what you have, I will give you good luck."
And with that, the little grey man vanished, leaving only a trace of golden light among the trees. Dummling set to work at once, chopping at the old tree with all his strength. The tree fell, and there sitting among the roots was a goose with feathers of pure shimmering gold.
Dummling lifted the goose and held it gently.
"You are far too fine to spend the night in this forest. I shall take you with me."
He carried the golden goose away and came to an inn where he decided to stay the night. And when they saw the goose, they were filled with curiosity and longing to touch its magnificent golden feathers.
Dummling carried his treasure up to his room and soon fell fast asleep, never guessing what mischief was brewing below. The eldest daughter thought to herself, "I must have one of those golden feathers," and she crept up to Dumling's room while he slept. She seized the goose by the wing, but the moment she touched it, her hand stuck fast, and she could not pull it away no matter how hard she tried. Soon after, the second daughter came, thinking to pluck a golden feather for herself, but she had scarcely touched her sister when she too was held fast.
Stay back!
Then the third daughter came running in. "Stay away!" her sisters cried. In the morning, Dummling awoke and picked up his goose. Out he went, and the 3 girls had to run behind him, for they were stuck fast. And so Dummling marched through the village with his golden goose, and the 3 innkeepers' daughters running and stumbling behind him.
"Shame on you girls, running after a young man like that!"
He seized the youngest girl by the hand to pull her away, but the moment he touched her, he stuck fast too, and had to run along behind them.
"Your Reverence! Where are you going so fast? We have a christening today!"
He ran up and seized the parson by the sleeve, and he too was held fast. Now 5 of them trotted along, one behind the other.
"Help! Help us!"
But no sooner had they touched the sexton than they too were stuck fast, and now there were 7 of them running behind Dummling and his golden goose. On and on they went, across fields and meadows, a most extraordinary procession. 1 cheerful boy, 1 golden goose, and 7 helpless followers. They came at last to a city where a king ruled who had a daughter so solemn that no one could ever make her laugh.
The king had declared that whoever could make his daughter laugh should have her hand in marriage, but no one had ever succeeded. And no just an fans that could bring charm.
Jesters, acrobats, poets, and one had failed to coax even the smallest smile from her lips.
When Dummling arrived in the city with his extraordinary procession was certain. The princess, hearing the great commotion from her tower, went to the window and looked out. She saw Dummling marching proudly with his golden goose, and behind him the whole ridiculous chain of people, tripping and stumbling and unable to let go. Something stirred within the princess, something she had not felt in years. The corners of her mouth began to tremble.
And then, for the first time in years, the princess smiled.
And then she laughed. A laugh so pure and joyous that it rang across the entire kingdom like a bell.
The king heard his daughter's laughter and could scarcely believe his ears. The entire court rushed to the windows and balconies. The king called Dummling before him at once, for whoever made the princess laugh was promised her hand in marriage. But the king was not ready to give his daughter to a poor woodcutter's son.
"You could drink up a whole cellar of wine."
Helped him once before. He returned to the forest, to the very spot where the old tree had stood. There he found a man who was but a whisper of skin and bone.
"I am the one they forgot to water."
Dummling brought the man to the king's cellar, and the fellow set upon the barrels.
"Next," he declared, "you must find me a man who can eat a whole mountain of bread." "I have eaten a whole oven full of bread, but I am still starving."
By the end of the day, the entire mountain of bread had vanished, and the man asked if there was perhaps a little cheese as well.
Any cheese?
This impossible challenge.
Bring me a ship that can sail on both land and water. Only then shall you have my daughter.
Dummling went straight to the forest, and there sat the little grey man to whom he had given his cake.
Because you are kind to me, I will give you all that you need.
And there before Dummling appeared the most wondrous ship a ship ever seen, rolled across sea and line.
Dummling climbed aboard and sailed his ship straight to the king's castle, across field and hill, as easily as across the open sea.
When the king saw the ship that sailed on land, he knew he could no longer withhold his promise. The king gave Dummling his hand and at last accepted the young man, for there was no in every challenge. And when Dummling met the princess face to face, she smiled at him with a warmth that no crown or treasure could equal.
People of the realm!
For the princess had found her laughter at last. The castle was transformed for the grandest celebration the kingdom had ever known. Dumling's family came to the castle, hardly believing that the son they had thought a fool was to marry a princess.
Dummling bore no grudge. He embraced his brothers and welcomed them with the same generous heart that had won him everything.
The day of the wedding dawned bright and golden, as if the sun itself had come to celebrate.
Stunning to him, she was smiling.
They exchanged rings of gold, and with them, promises of kindness, laughter, and love that would never fade.
And the whole kingdom celebrated with joy, for the simplest and kindest heart had won the greatest prize of all. The feast that followed was the grandest ever held. All who had been part of Dumling's extraordinary journey were honored guests.
That night, as fireworks lit the sky, Dummling looked out over the kingdom and marveled at how kindness had led him here.
And in the shadow of the forest, the little grey man watched and smiled. His gift had found a worthy heart.
And they all lived happily ever after.